1 Corinthians chapter 1 verses 22 to 25. We proclaim Christ crucified, a stumbling block to many, but to those who are called, the wisdom of God. Brothers and sisters, Jews demand signs and Greeks look for wisdom, but we proclaim Christ crucified. A stumbling block to Jews, and foolishness to Gentiles, but to those who are called, Jews and Greeks alike. Christ the power of God, and the wisdom of God. For the foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than human strength. St. Paul understood rejection because his message was often rejected by unbelievers. In his effort to spread the gospel around the Mediterranean, he had experienced, firsthand, the violent resistance of some to the word of God. But why? As an itinerant, or traveling preacher, Paul was spreading new concepts that would limit some of his hearers' control and wealth if understood by the common people. He posed a threat to their social status. Of course, Jesus ran into the same resistance, but both he and Paul continued to do the work of God. The Jews considered Jesus to be foolish, because they were trying to force him into a mold they had created, of what the Messiah would look like. Since he didn't measure up to their expectations, they thought he had no value. Greeks didn't believe in bodily resurrection, and Jesus didn't show any of the powers of their mythological gods, so they also considered him to be without value. Both the Jews and Greeks considered crucifixion to be a criminal's death. Further, if he were the Son of God, why didn't he forego the pain, suffering and humiliation? Many people, past and present, think that Jesus was foolish because he became as a humble servant of his Father and the human race. Our society values power, influence, and wealth. Which one of these has eternal value? The gospel and the concept of God in general sounds foolish to many people today as well as in biblical times. Power, influence and wealth are the important words of a secular, materialistic society who look upon the biblical values of humility, charity, and kindness as symbols of weakness. Jesus demonstrated what and how a humble, poor servant would act, and he offers his kingdom to those who have faith, not to those who are self-righteous. Following the ways of the world is easy, following the ways of Christianity is hard, and thus many chose the easier ways of the world. Matthew chapter 7 verses 13 and 14, Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy, that leads to destruction, and those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard, that leads to life, and those who find it are few. The Christian community of Corinth did not need to see the signs and wonders performed for them. Their faith came from the messages of the gospel that was preached to them and to us as well. The cross may have been a stumbling block to some and foolishness to others. Yet, that did not matter to the true believer. Faith is the light of hope that destroys the darkness of despair. Disappointments are just God's way of saying, I have something much better if you will be patient, have faith, and trust in me. With God all things are possible. Always pray to have eyes that see the best in people. A heart that forgives the worst. A mind that forgets the bad. And a soul that never loses faith in God.